Hello guys, it's Janice. Today we have the reader, the Snow Queen. Little Gerda lived with her grandmother at the top of a tall house in the city. Their roof almost touched the roof of the house across the street. Gerda's best friend Kay lived there, and the two children often talked to each other through the open windows. In summer, they grew roses in the window boxes. In winter, they stayed warm and listened to Gerda's grandmother telling stories. "Look at that snow," said grandmother. "Somewhere out there in the middle of the storm is the Snow Queen, my dears. Every winter she comes down from her ice palace and flies all around the world in her silver sleigh." There was ice on the inside of the window. Kay put his warm hand on the glass until the ice melted. He looked out and saw a lady's beautiful face. She was wearing a silver crown, and her eyes were as bright and cold as stars. She was looking straight at him. Suddenly, Kay felt a sharp pain in his eye and another in his heart. He moved back from the window. "Kay, what's the matter?" asked Gerda. She looked into his eyes, but she couldn't see anything. "Nothing. It's gone," said Kay. But he was wrong. He had a little piece of ice in his eye and another in his heart. Now everything he looked was ugly, he thought. And every thought he had was unkind. He didn't want to play with Gerda anymore or listen to her grandmother. "Roses are for girls," he told them. "Stories are for babies. I don't want them anymore." Instead, he went to play in the snow with the big boys in the town square. One morning, he saw a silver sleigh in the square. There was a beautiful lady in it, and she was wearing a white fur coat and hat. She smiled at Kay. "Don't you remember me? Come and sit beside me." She put her arm around him, and the sleigh started moving faster and faster through the town gate and up into the air. She gave Kay an ice-cold kiss, and he forgot all about Gerda and her grandmother. Gerda didn't forget Kay, though. "What happened to him?" she asked, but nobody knew. "Perhaps he fell into the river," said the big boys. "Dear river," said Gerda, "do you have my friend? Will you take me to him?" She stepped into a little boat, and the river quickly carried her away from the city. Gerda was frightened at first, but she hoped to see Kay again soon. At last, the boat stopped near a little house. An old woman was sitting in the flower garden inside. "Little girl, where have you come from?" asked the old woman. Gerda explained about her friend. "Have you seen him?" "I haven't," said the old woman, "but you are very tired. Come inside and take a rest." The old woman was a witch. Not a bad one, but she was lonely. She started combing Gerda's golden hair, combing away all her thoughts of home. "Sleep, my dear. Forget your friend. Stay with me." Well, she said that because she was too lonely. While Gerda was sleeping, the old woman went out to the garden. "Hide yourselves," she told the roses. "I want her to stay here forever with me. I don't want her to remember her old life." So Gerda stayed, and the old woman was kind to her. Gerda was happy enough, but sometimes she felt that there was something missing in her life. And then one morning, she saw the old woman's sun hat on a chair. It was made of cloth, with pictures of "Roses!" said Gerda. "There are no roses!" She suddenly remembered everything. She ran out of the house and through the magic garden. Outside the garden, the spring and summer were already over, and there was no leaves on the trees. Dear Kay, will I ever find you, my friend? Gerda walked and walked. She was cold and tired and hungry, and she sat down on a stone to rest. Good morning, said a black crow. Where are you going, little girl? Gerda told the crow her story. Have you seen him? She asked. Have you seen Kay? The crow replied, Maybe I have, but I'm afraid he has forgotten you by now. He only thinks about the princess. The princess? Asked Gerda. The princess of our country. She's very beautiful and very wise, and one day she decided to look for a husband. So many princes and other rich gentlemen came to our palace, but when they met her, they couldn't think of anything to say, so she wasn't interested in them. Then a boy came. His clothes were poor, but he had nice clean hair and new boots. That's Kay, I remember those boots. Well, he talked to the princess in such a friendly way, and she liked him so much that now he is a prince. That's wonderful, said Gerda. So how can I tell him that I'm here? The crow said, It's difficult. The princess's guards will send you away, I'm sure. Luckily I have a crow friend in the palace. I expect she can help. Wait here until this evening. When it was dark, the crow came back with his friend, and they gave Gerda some bread from the palace kitchens. Gerda followed them through the gardens, and they showed her a little door. This is the way to the princess's bedroom, said the crow's friend. Gerda climbed the narrow stairs to a beautiful room. In it she saw 2 beds in the shape of flowers. In the white flower, the princess was sleeping. In the red flower, there was a boy. Kay, said Gerda happily, and the boy woke up. But it wasn't Kay. Now the princess was awake too. Who are you? How did you get in here? Gerda told her story. Oh, you poor child, said the princess. Tonight you must sleep, but tomorrow we'll help you. The next day she gave Gerda some beautiful warm clothes and a box full of cake and fruit for her journey. Then she showed Gerda a golden carriage with 2 white horses. These are for you, she said. I hope you find your friend soon. Oh, thank you, said Gerda. She said goodbye to the prince and princess and to the 2 crows and left the palace. She drove into a dark forest, and the carriage shone brightly between the tall trees. Some robbers saw it and laughed. A golden carriage with no guards? We'll have that! They jumped out from the trees and caught the frightened horses. An old robber woman with a long knife pulled Gerda out of the carriage. Look at this one! I'll have her for my dinner! Then a wild little girl with black hair bit the old woman. Leave her alone. She can be my friend. Don't touch her, or I'll bite you again. We'll ride back to the castle in her carriage, and she can give me all her nice clothes. Are you a princess? The robber girl asked Gerda. No, said Gerda. She explained about Kay. Don't worry about him, said the girl. Wait until you see our castle. I'll show you all my animals. The robber's castle was big and dark, with an enormous fire burning in the hall. There were some animals' fur in one corner, and they were the robber girl's bed. Above the bed, there were 100 wild birds in wooden cages, and next to it there was a reindeer, tied to the wall. This is Ba, said the girl. He'd like to run away from me, but he's frightened of my knife. Gerda was frightened too, but she didn't say anything. They had dinner by the enormous fire, and then lay down on the furs. Tell me again about Kay, said the robber girl. Kay is far away, sang the birds. Oh, have you seen him? What would the birds know about that? We have, sang the birds. He went away in the Snow Queen's sleigh. So cold, so cold. Where were they going, do you know? Probably to Lapland, where there's always ice and snow. Ask Ba. The reindeer replied, Yes, that's my country. It's a beautiful place. The Snow Queen has her summer palace there. I must find him. I must find him. How can I get there? Asked Gerda. You should run away tomorrow, said the robber girl. When all the men are out and mother is sleeping, Ba can carry you. The next day, she gave Gerda some old clothes. You can have my warm boots, she said. That's so nice and generous of her. You need them, but I'll keep your other things. Look, here's some bread and meat for you. Ba will take care of you. Now go. The reindeer ran and ran out of the forest and over the snow. By day, the sun was weak and low in the sky. At night, the moon and the stars were bright. Look, this is my homeland, said Ba. Now we need some more help. They saw a little house in the snow. Its roof almost touched the ground. Inside it was bright and warm, and an old woman was cooking fish. Gerda was so cold that she couldn't speak. So Ba told her story. My poor child, you must ride even further, said the old woman. The Snow Queen is in her winter palace at the top of the world. She has Kay there with her. He thinks he's happy, but as long as he has those pieces of ice in his eye and in his heart, he can never escape. Bob said, You are very wise, but I know you can do magic. Is there anything you can do to help Gerda? The old woman said, She's stronger than she knows. You see. She gave Gerda some fish to eat and helped her to get warm. Then she helped her again to climb onto Ba's back, and Gerda rode on towards the top of the world. Then Ba stopped. I can't go any further. You must walk over the ice. You're almost there. Now the snow was all around Gerda, making the shapes of enormous, snarling wild animals. These were the Snow Queen's guards. Gerda was terrified and said a prayer. Her prayer made angel shapes in the cold air. The angels fought the wild animals, and Gerda was able to walk through the gates and into the palace. The walls of the palace were made of snow, and the doors and windows were made of icy wind. There were 100 empty rooms, lit by the northern lights. In the middle was an enormous hall with a lake of ice, and in the middle of the lake was the Snow Queen's throne, her big seat. But the Snow Queen wasn't there. She had gone to bring snowstorms to warm countries of the south. Beside the throne, Gerda saw a small, dark shape. It was a boy, playing with some pieces of ice. She ran to him and put her arms around her. Kay! At last I found you! Her warm tears washed over Kay's face and body and melted the little pieces of ice in his heart and eyes. Gerda! Gerda, is it really you? Now Kay was crying too, and his tears melted the pieces of ice in his eye. Where am I? Where am I? What am I doing here? Oh, Gerda, it's so cold here. Gerda took his hand. Come with me. Let's go home. Together they walked out of the hall, through the snow palace and across the ice. When they reached the land, Ba was waiting to carry them to the old woman's house. The old woman was happy to see them and gave them some more warm clothes. Then they rode the reindeer to the edge of the forest. There were new green leaves on the trees already, and Gerda saw someone that she knew well. Hello, Gerda! Hello, Ba. The robber girl was riding a beautiful golden horse. I'm going to see the world. So this is your friend Kay? Well, Kay, you're lucky that Gerda loves you so much, aren't you? I hope you love her too. She said goodbye, and they rode on to the princess's palace. There were spring flowers in the palace gardens, but the princess and prince were not at home. One day you'll meet them, Gerda told Kay. They were very kind to me. At last they reached the city, climbed the stairs of Gerda's house. The sun was shining, and Grandma was sitting by the window, so they could see the roses outside. Kay, Gerda, she said. Oh, my dear children. She held them in her arms. They were all together again, and it was summer. Warm, beautiful summer. Alright, so that's the end of the book, The Snow Queen. I hope you have enjoyed it. Now it's time for you to finish the activities here. You can pause the video and come back, and I'll go through the exercise with you. Okay, so now you should have finished the activity part, and we will go through it together. Alright, for this first page, we have 5 dialogues, and you're supposed to match it with the person. So for letter A, we have, come with me, let's go home. Letter B, at last I found you. C, nothing, it's gone. D, Gerda, is it really you? E, Kay, what's the matter? Alright, so Kay, what's the matter? Should be Gerda asking here. And here Kay answers, nothing, it's gone. And for the second picture, Gerda says, at last I have found you. And Kay says, Gerda, is it really you? And at last, Gerda says, come with me, let's go home, when they go back home hand in hand. Okay? For the second activity, we have a mixed up story. There are 9 pictures, and we're supposed to look at the pictures and put the story in order. Okay, so letter A, we have the angels fought the wild animals. Here, fought is the past tense of fight. Yeah, grandmother told Gerda and Kay stories. Told is the past tense for tell. Ba carried Gerda all the way to Lapland. Letter D, oh my children, said grandmother. Letter E, Ba will take care of you, said the robber girl. Letter F, Kay had eyes in his heart and in his eye. Letter G, the Snow Queen gave Kay an ice-cold kiss. Letter H, Gerda arrived at the Snow Queen's winter palace. At last, have you seen Kay? Gerda asked the crow. So, in the beginning, Grandma told Gerda and Kay stories. That's number 1. That's letter B for number 1. And then Kay had ice in his heart and in his eye, which is letter F, right? And then the Snow Queen took Kay away and gave him an ice-cold kiss, right? And then, have you seen Kay? Asked the crow, right? And then she met with the robber girl, and then the angels fought the wild animals. Oh, wait, sorry. So have you seen Kay? And then Ba will take care of you, said the robber girl. And then Ba carried Gerda all the way to Lapland, and then fought the wild animals. And then she arrived at the palace, and at last they were united with Grandma. Alright, now on to the next page, the Snow Queen. Which are the 3 things that we cannot see in this picture? Okay, can we see 3 white horses? Yes, we can. Can we see the Snow Queen? Yes, we can. Can we see a golden carriage? Is it a golden carriage? No, not really. Can we see houses in the city? Yes. Can we see a silver sleigh? Yes. Can we see fur coat and hat? Yes, on the Snow Queen. Can we see the river at the background? Not really. Can we see Gerda's grandmother? No, not really as well. Alright. Now the last two exercise. First one on the left, we have beautiful roses. Now we have to pick the right sentence for each picture, alright? Okay, picture number 1. Look at the picture now. The 2 sentences are they grew roses in the window boxes or they grew roses in the garden. The truth is they grew roses in the window box, right? Okay, take a look at picture number 2. Letter A, Gerda's hat had pictures of roses. Letter B, the old woman's hat had pictures of roses. That's the old woman's hat, the kind witch, remember? Okay, picture number 3. Sentence A, there were roses on the princess's golden carriage. Sentence B, there were roses on the princess's silver sleigh. Oh, of course, it was the golden carriage, not the sleigh. The sleigh was for the Snow Queen, right? Okay, the last picture, we have letter A. There were roses growing inside or outside. The roses are growing outside, okay? That's a carriage. Like a car carried by horses, that we call the carriage. Okay, the last page here. Now we have to pick the right word for the blank. Okay, picture number 1. The crow has a friend in the city, forest, or palace. The palace. The princess gives Gerda a cold golden or magic coach. A golden coach. The birds say that K is far away, far north, or far happier. Far away. The robber girl gives Gerda some furs, money, or food. Give her some food. Bar takes Gerda to Lapland, Finland, or Scotland. Finland is very far north, and Scotland as well. Scotland is near England. The old woman helps Gerda to get warm. Very nice. Alright, so that's the end of the book. That's the end of the book, The Snow Queen. I hope you have enjoyed it. And see you soon.